Eric, Karma, welcome to the show, guys.
Oh, thanks, Robert. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
How's it going right now?
it's going great. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell it just a little bit about what you guys do.
Go for it.
Okay. So we own co-own and work at a studio called Studio One LA, and we are an immersive mix room, focusing on Dolby Atmos, music mostly, and some post production. And we are neck deep in the new technology of immersive audio.
That's awesome. How did you guys get into the music scene?
Well, I'm 51, so older guy, but I grew up in the business. My father's kind of a infamous keyboard player from the UK in the 60s. He kind of came over to the States with the British invasion, and so I've kind of always been around music, and I guess I kind of always knew I was going to end up in it, and was always fascinated from a very young age with technology and music, and like threaded my first reel-to-reel quarter-inch tape machine at 2 years old, and then the rest is history.
That's cool. That's cool.
A
How
lot
about
on the road touring as well. So touring drummer for 30 years in production and tech and tour management and in kind of all aspects of it.
nice? So you've had a lot of exposure to the industry as a whole.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's great to have a huge background and really understand how all these pieces fit together and how they all complement each other and how they can work, in synergy.
As things open back up, are you going to be doing any more touring?
We'll see. Right now, my main focus since we went into COVID year and a half ago, and Eric and I started this endeavor together, we really have we've worked really hard to get to this place, and we're in a really great place right now with Dolby Atmos and mixing. And personally, my kids are 15 and almost 14, and I've been touring my whole life, and it was kind of a transition for me to staying home for once and not being gone, 8, 9 months of the year. So I'm kind of like at this interesting new crossroads in my life where actually for the next few years before they run off to college, I'm really looking forward to being around and staying home and just getting to hang with the boys before they split.
Variety is the spice of life. I have three daughters, and
Oh,
one is
nice.
in college, and the other one's heading off to college this year. So I get
Wow.
that space that you're in for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Eric,
But
how did you get into the music?
well, music's always been a huge part of my life. Since a child, I played instruments. I was in band, orchestra, rock bands, anything I could get my hands on. And then for my entire adult life, I've been working in the music industry as a engineer, producer, musician, writer, composer, a little bit of touring as well. And yeah, it's just kind of shaped and been my life almost pretty much the whole time.
So crazy wild journeys, happenstance, and then you guys meet and end up doing this thing. How did that take place?
Well, Eric has he has another studio. So the studio that we're in right now is Studio One LA, and this is our Dolby Atmos room where we do all of our mixing and all of our immersive work. Eric has a couple partners at another studio very close by here in Venice, California, where we are, called West Triad. And West Triad is a tracking room, a mix room, but it's whereas this room is like all of our high tech kind of technology of now and the future. The other room is the wonderful old analog room with the Neve desk and a ton of API gear and just a bunch of wonderful microphones and a great tracking room. And it's like it's the recording spot, the great recording spot. So we're kind of sister studios, so we can kind of handle everything and anything. And it's nice to actually have them separated so that when we can be in two places at once if we need to.
So what is Dolby Atmos? What is that all about?
I'll take that. Dolby Atmos is immersive audio format, and basically what it is it's a way to put sound as objects in a 3D space. So whereas previous formats have been channel based, speaker based, stereo, mono, 5.1, 7.1, where you take a sound and you put it into this speaker or those two speakers or things like that. This is a format where you have each sound is represented by an object. And so you can place that object in a 3D space and you can make it closer, further or closer or bigger or smaller. And it's kind of a new way of thinking about audio. And it's also experientially quite stunning. It's quite stunning because it's very, we've tried to explain it to, what does it sound like is always the question, right? What does it sound like? And it's very hard to explain, but it is immersive. You feel like you're in the music, you feel like you're in a space, you feel like you're surrounded by music or film or ambience of a film or gaming or whatever it is that your source is. And it's quite stunning. It's quite a new way to hear and experience music.
With the conversations I've had with people, I'm saying that it gets us closer to what real life sounds like in digital format.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Because in real life, everything is 3D. It's surrounding you. You hear sounds here, there, and immersive audio is much closer to that than other formats.
So I don't want to assume why you guys would move in this direction. In addition to the sister studio, so why are you guys moving into this space?
I think it's just it's the exciting new frontier of sound, and to get to be involved at such an early stage and work through the technology and figure out what it can do. It's like taking a new car and putting it through its paces on a racetrack or something. It's exciting and fun. It's so fun and so creative.
That's awesome.
And that's really, I think, the big turn on is the way that you can imagine music, both stuff that's already been recorded, which we can take and we can place now into 3D, in a space. And then the other side of it is new music, where you can really completely imagine it from square one, and what has the most impact, and how does this pull you in to the experience of hearing it as opposed to just listening to it. That's the one thing I find, even on stuff that we've mixed, where we'll listen back down to it and I find myself just kind of, my brain goes away, and then 3 minutes later I'm like, whoa, where was I just now? It really takes you on the journey and pulls you into the music faster. It's because it's so experiential and it's so much around you. And I guess one of our big things is we just really want everybody to hear it. We do a lot of meetings where we bring in people who haven't heard it before, and maybe they know what it is, but they haven't actually checked it out. And then they ask the question, what does it sound like? And we've actually stopped describing it because it's impossible to really put words to it. You have to have a visceral experience in it, and then you instantly know what it is. But it's not possible to actually put it into words and describe it.
It's a lot like explaining blue, or asking a blind person to explain blue if they've never had sight. You have to have that opportunity. What's the response you're getting when you're having people listen?
I think it's one of our two favorite things is to watch someone or have somebody come over and experience Atmos for the very first time, because it is so, 5.1 and 7.1 were really cool formats. Even quad was a cool format. All these formats have been cool, but they didn't take off quite like this. Is something different. This is really something else. It's not just another immersive format. This is something special. When we first heard it, we were both completely blown away. And
do you think this will become the new model?
We believe, and we've been saying that when mono went stereo, this is the next evolutionary jump, the real jump. There's been some interim formats, but this is the real next jump. And the coolest thing about it is that on the technological side, the things I love about it is, if you want to see 4K TV, you have to go buy a 4K TV. But if you would like to experience Dolby Atmos, you can already do so in a pair of headphones in binaural, what we call binaural, which is the stereo Atmos based mix, which is for 2.0 stereo for headphones. And you can already use the headphones you have that you like. So everybody has, they either like their earbuds or they have a really great pair of headphones that they like. And so there's no up purchase for you. You can already experience it via Apple Music, via Amazon Music, via Tidal, depending on what your device is and where you consume your music. And then the other coolest part is that the way the technology is within the Atmos mix is the Atmos mix, the 7.1 mix, the 5.1 mix, and the 2.0 binaural mix. It's all embedded in the metadata, all four mixes. So what that means is it unpacks at the consumer. So if you, for example, let's say you go in your living room and you have a receiver and you have a 7.1 receiver and you want to hear some Atmos music and you stream something in, the mix hits your receiver and goes, oh, this is a 7.1 room, and it spits out the 7.1 mix for you, the down mix, or the 5.1 down mix if you have a 5.1, or if you have an Atmos setup, it plays you the full Atmos mix, or if you're in headphones with your phone and earbuds, it just plays you the 2.0 mix. And this is, I think, why this format is so powerful and why it is a game changer, because everything is involved in the one mix. And then the last point that I want to add is that we're seeing an industry-wide move to this technology. Netflix adopted really early and asked for everything that goes to them audio-wise to be delivered in Atmos because it has all these other mixes in it. The gaming industry and VRs, they're on board with it, and now the music industry is jumping in. So it's not often that you see all the industries move towards a technology like this all at once.
It's really cool that they've enabled that technology so that anyone can benefit. You often don't see that with technology jumps like that. It's everybody has to upgrade, and then you have to wait for prices to come down so it trickles down to the masses.
Yeah.
But this, everybody just gets it.
Yeah.
It's so cool that it's software based, which means we can all experience it right away.
What so working with the software, is it, are you dragging and dropping in a 3D environment on a 2D screen? What's the interface for creating look like?
The interface, there's touchscreen. We use iPad. There's also native panners within the workstations that we're using. They're two-dimensional, but they represent the three-dimensional space. And again, everything is represented by an object. So you can automate those objects to move, or you can make them bigger or smaller, closer, further. You can do pretty much anything you can imagine to the audio. And the interfaces are yeah, I look forward to like a blended reality thing where you can just grab things and move them around and stuff like that. But I don't think we're quite there yet.
I hadn't thought about that. I imagine, I'm thinking AR glasses now and like moving a can across a virtual table and
Yeah.
hearing the sound of the aluminum on the hard surface. That's trippy.
Yes, yeah, it's great. It's great. And imagine as a consumer, if you got a mix or whatever, and you could take elements of the mix and move them and manipulate them yourself as well. It'd be kind of
That's
awesome.
amazing. So, I mean, I love music. What, with the work that you're doing and the people that you are working with and your experience with Atmos so far, what are some of the cool things that people have thought up to do within music?
Okay.
So some of the cool so we've recently, the other cool thing is, so Dolby's pushing this technology really hard and they're moving into a lot of different areas. So one of the things that they're doing is they're building Dolby Atmos systems for cars as one of the delivery systems, which is going to be just, I mean, how amazing to get to drive down the road and hear Atmos.
Well, I want a flying car with the Atmos system.
Don't we all? We all? Yes. But one of the cool things people are doing is reimagining the way you set up a mix. For example, imagine having the vocals coming from the back for maybe the verse or maybe just the chorus or something, and then they fly to the front. Or imagine sitting in a space and having the band be around you as if you're on stage. So the drums are just behind you and the bass player's next to you and the guitar player's on the other side and the vocals in front of you, and you feel like you're sitting on stage in a band or something. So there's conceptually there's all these different ways to use it, and there's really no wrong way. It's all just according to what experience do you want to have the consumers have.
Yeah, and I guess it's going to depend on how you're consuming the audio. Is it AR? Is it VR? Are you streaming?
Mm-hmm.
So in a title situation or Apple Music, Spotify, as everybody gets on board, what it would, I guess, so maybe if something that's popping into my mind is 20 some odd years ago, when MTV had the big award show and Eminem comes out from the back and he's marching with all of his twins. So you could kind of replicate that back to front you're talking about.
Absolutely.
While also maybe having a DJ or something up on stage per se. And that's what's pumping into your ears.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And anything you can imagine is now possible. I think even like imagine you're watching a sportscast or whatever, and the audience is around you, and the announcers over there, and all and the applications are pretty much endless.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that, because the NBA is pushing hard into being able to attend a game digitally.
Right.
So adding the sneaker squeaks and the net, I mean, that's got to be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's the digital is becoming closer to the flesh and blood space that we occupy, and we're blending the two.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to piggyback on that, there's also, you can suspend reality and have things be completely unreal and completely in ways that you would not expect, that you would hear things that are not real at all. They're just they're more compositionally or creatively choices or ways to manipulate sound that are unreal or surreal or whatever.
Yeah, everything you guys say is triggering something. So Beatles break in with their whole cool sound, and it becomes this thing that still resonates today. This sounds like an opportunity for someone to really embrace the technology and come up with that new, fresh, surreal sound that is fresh and new, that people gravitate towards, and they become the next 50-year band that echoes through the generations.
Yeah, they kind of never went away, though, did they?
No, they did not. Yeah, no, they're still huge.
Something for me, which is when the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album came out. That was a true use of stereo in a way that had never been done before. And my father told me the story of that he was having a party at his house, and an engineer in London that he worked with brought the album over and said, okay, put this on, and put on the headphones and check this out. And he said they dropped the needle on the record, and he said he just sat there for the entire first side of the record and listened. I flipped the record over and listened to the entire thing in the middle of a party full of people, just like, whoa, everything stop. This is totally groundbreaking. This is different. I need to just have this experience right now. And I do feel that Atmos is a little bit of that. It's the next gen of this direction.
I was just on a trip to go see some family, and one of the stories that they told me was when Fleetwood Mac dropped their first album, and it was the first time his buddy had a cassette, and he got a whole entire stereo system to put the cassette into, and it was that sort of scenario where everybody was just enthralled listening to this great album on the new technology out of this really cool stereo. And less partying and more listening to the music.
And then that's experiential, and that ties in with what Atmos really is. It's a new way to experience music that hasn't been done before. It's being done now, but when people hear it for the first time, it is like hearing your first record or having your first musical memory or any of those things.
So are there any hurdles right now into expanding this, or is it pretty much fully baked and ready to go?
I think I wouldn't necessarily call them hurdles, but as this technology rolls out, comes all the things that allow people to experience it differently. So because of COVID and because of the kind of breakdown of supply chain and everything that happened and how everything closed, studios closed, etc., it's now starting to roll out. But where we mostly see the hurdle is you can now get, there's lots of different sound bars you can get for your TV that you can also Bluetooth stream music through, which are Atmos enabled, that are really cool, that have sideward firing and upward firing speakers that reproduce a really good Atmos mix. There's new companies developing wireless speaker systems that work on your Wi-Fi, that all connect, that they show you where to place them in the room so that you can connect those speakers and have an Atmos experience both for your viewing of your your TV, your Apple TV, whatever you're viewing through, or you can stream your music through. Amazon has the Echo, and you can actually have multiples of them, and they actually all link up as wireless speakers and do an Atmos thing. As we said, cars are now, Dolby's working with a bunch of different car companies. One is a new electric car called Lucid, and it comes stock with an Atmos system in it. And they actually took it a step further, which is really cool. They designed the sounds for the car in Dolby Atmos. So, for example, when the person in the back seat doesn't have their seatbelt on and the seatbelt light pings, the ping flies through the car to the back seat where the person doesn't have their seatbelt on.
Nice.
So that's pretty next level.
That is next level. The personalization of the annoying sound that gets you to do what you should be doing. That's cool.
So that's the only hurdle that we see right now, is really just the ongoing and emerging way to experience it, and how it, because of COVID, that was kind of slowed down, but things seem to be speeding up now, especially with Apple Music announcing that Dolby Atmos will be their immersive format, and things are starting to move kind of more quickly now.
Are there any competing, because I haven't heard of any, but are there any competing formats, like a beta VHS situation, or that we're running into?
Nailed it. I don't know if it's competing as much as it is. I believe that we're in an ecosystem where everybody can coexist, and I think so. There's a couple different companies that are also doing immersive. One is called, Sony's doing their own immersive format called 360, and we haven't actually heard any Sony 360, but we've heard good things about the way it sounds. And I think there's another company called Aurora that also has an immersive format that supposedly also sounds really good. And what we would hope is that when we work in Dolby Atmos, but let's say, to us, we're delivering music, right? That's what we're doing as a studio. We're delivering music that's immersive. So what I would hope is that if I'm in Dolby Atmos, but certain streaming companies do Sony 360, or maybe they do all three formats, that I would have the ability to print my mix both in Dolby Atmos as a master, and also print it as a Sony 360 master, and also print it as an Aurora master. So I kind of serve all of them, and the same would apply in my mind. If I was working in Sony 360, I can print the Dolby Atmos mix, master, and I can print the Aurora master, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's space for everybody, and everybody can collaborate as long as they talk to each other and they make it happen. And I think that's the smartest way, because we believe the format is here to stay. Immersive is here to stay. So then the question is, who are the players? Who's going to do it? And and why not everyone? And why not experience all these different versions of it?
That makes sense. Like if you're doing audio and you're working with whatever your favorite DAW is, you can have different outputs in file formats, the Apple format, the MP3 format, but you're still getting the quality that you want. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The same way that some people are Pro Tools people, some people are Ableton people, some people are Logic or Nuendo or Cubase or whatever it is that you work in. I believe immersive fits perfectly into that kind of model, right? There's you know, it's pick your flavor, whatever it is that you dig, that you
Yeah.
like. I think everybody can coexist. There doesn't need to be one winner here.
No, that's a great perspective. Especially with digital, it's enabled where we can find
Yeah.
a happy space to, as long as the hardware plays. And it sounds like that's not even an issue.
And also imagine how cool it is when you say, let me listen to the Dolby Atmos mix. And then you listen to the Sony 360 mix and it's like a remix in immersive. I mean, I want to hear that. I want to hear the different versions. It's what a cool way to experience music and hear it, that you would get even more than one immersive format. I think that would be insanely awesome.
That would be awesome. I mean, it's always fun to get the vinyl pop from the records, but I also enjoy when I'm listening to music through the decades all the way up into the 90s and they get remastered and it sounds nice and crisp,
Mhm.
and getting that experience.
Mhm.
I like both. So why not then take that and have the immersive experience
Yeah.
on top of?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Or maybe
Absolutely.
even you get two producers, one who works in Sony 360 and one that works in Atmos, and let's say they both imagine it, and now there's two versions of the mix, one for each, and we all win as consumers of music and listeners, or we get to hear these two different reimagined versions of stuff. I think that would also be really cool.
That would be. I mean, and we're seeing stuff like there's a singer hip hop artist St. John,
Mhm.
and he had his song Roses that blew up in the club after having the remix.
Mhm.
And it didn't take anything away from the version of the song he put out, and great for the remake of it. So yeah, I mean, we like our choice,
Yeah, we like
and we want to be able to taste and find what fits us. But that doesn't, all three of us could each pick a different version. Doesn't mean that we don't appreciate all of it,
yeah,
but we'll still have that one thing that we want to jam on for a while.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's really cool. Is it just right now? Is it a matter of just creating or recreating the content across film and music and getting it pumped out there?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a surge in production happening in immersive audio, and I think as people, as the consumers and people who consume music and film and TV and games and things get lash onto it more and more, that things will there will just be a lot more available. And there's kind of two things happening. There's kind of doing legacy work and retrofitting it for Atmos, and then uh, there's work that happens. It starts in Atmos and then folds down to the other formats. So I think that's really exciting too. Is that new things are being created for Atmos.
And are you seeing rights holders really going, okay, we want to invest in the recreation?
Uh, yeah. I think we're still in kind of an education phase where not everybody knows what it is or how it's going to impact the future of sound. So a lot of what we do, as Karma said, is we take meetings and we introduce people to the experience of it, and basically once people hear it, they are pretty on board with it. They really they want it.
I'm going to have to slide some links in the show notes for this so people can
Yeah,
listen to this and then go, oh, I want to try it out, and click. They'll already
yeah,
have their
that'd be great.
speakers. Yeah. So,
Right,
dig
right.
right in.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are you guys able to talk about any of the projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, we can talk about a couple projects for sure. So we just recently released an album just came out, which we worked on for dear friend and incredible musician, bass player, and incredible producer. His name is Jimmy Haslip, and Jimmy was one of the founding members of the Yellow Jackets, which is a very famous jazz fusion band, and who he toured with for years and years. Jimmy is a 23-time Grammy nominated, 3-time Grammy winning producer artist, and he worked on a world music jazz jazz world project with a really great band called the Meyer Bujana Group. It's Nicholas Meyer and Dewa Bujana. Nicholas is an acoustic fretless guitar player, nylon string guitar player from Switzerland. Dewa is an electric guitar player and plays all kinds of guitars, and he's from Indonesia. And they have a fusion band together that Jimmy played bass in and co-produced the record with the guys. And it's this incredible mix of different musicians and world music. The drummer comes from Israel, but studied Indian tabla rhythms. And so he's just got this wild, incredible style and way of playing and singing and knows all those rhythms. Nicholas Meyer studied acoustic guitar traditionally and kind of orchestrally, let's say, but then went to Turkey and studied Turkish rhythms and scales and kind of more Middle Eastern music. And he's just an incredible, they're all just insane players. And there's a flute player whose name is Sat, who comes from Borneo, and he hand carves all of his own flutes out of the orangutan forest. He goes in there and finds trees that have fallen down and cuts off wood and has like a bag full of these hand-painted, hand-carved flutes that he plays. It's just incredible. And the album was called Flying Spirits, and it's out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Tidal. And that one just came out, and we're very proud of that record. It's a beautiful album, and I don't know that so much stuff like that. That's the other kind of great thing about Atmos at the moment is there's not so much content yet in Atmos. And so when you put something out in Atmos as a band, it's a huge plus where you're not competing with the amount of, all recorded music of history. There's actually space there for you to promote your project and kind of get a little, get noticed in an environment that maybe you wouldn't, otherwise, because there's just so much music out in the world that we all know and love. And so that's one project. And then do you want to talk about the Bluegrass project?
Oh, the Bluegrass project. So we've done a whole bunch of different styles of music. We've done some rock stuff, some world fusion. One of the projects we just finished up also, which should be out any day now, is called a band called Big Fan of the Bison. And they're the songs are great, the instrumentation is great, and when, to be honest, when we approached mixing it, we weren't sure how bluegrass was gonna fit into the Atmos environment, and it actually turned out to be one of my favorite sounding records. It's very static, because when you fly a fiddle over your head, it just doesn't make any sense. But we created this space, and it's a gorgeous space where you can hear the fiddle there and the mandolin there and the vocals are right there, and it's very, very immersive and warm, and it's a great record. It should be out any day. What's the title of the record?
It's called Songs from the Frontier.
Songs from the Frontier is the album title. Yeah.
Very cool.
And then we're just finishing up a rock record, which we're finalizing print masters for, by a great rock band called Monte Cassino. And the stereo album is out. It's called The Money's Not Enough. How apt for the music business. Yeah, killer title. And we're just finishing up the Atmos mixes, and the Atmos will be out in the next, I would say, month or two.
Yeah, great sounding record also.
Great sounding record, and incredible in Atmos. Rock
I'm
is
looking forward to it. There was a remix of Bon Iver's Skinny Love by, I think she was 13 at the time, Birdie. And there's this just small piece in that track of hers where you hear the piano bench creak.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah. And so I'm imagining, like, and it does something. Like you're there just hearing that little piece. So being able to thoughtfully do that with your music is powerful. And what I like what you said, Karma, about this being an opportunity for music to bubble up because it is so new and there's not a lot of noise around it. It's one of the coolest things about new tech or new spaces, right? When TikTok, you had all of these creatives go out there and create careers and businesses for themselves. as creative people that experimented on a platform and found things that worked and were able to do that. So as artists pushing into Adobe Atmos and being able to experiment and having all of that attention, and the fact that they're pushing music forward, and that gives them an opportunity to be heard and to develop their careers further. That's beautiful.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I think for us, one of the greatest things for artists is to find space in the market for what they do. And I think this is an incredible new opportunity. As you said, emerging tech does exactly that. It is a new space where there isn't so much noise. And I think this is one of the wonderful parts of the opportunity for artists who are trying to get their music heard.
Have you guys heard about Spotify doing anything as far as immersive?
We don't know as far as immersive. They are launching a premium service that includes lossless and high def audio. As far as their immersive plans, I'm not sure.
They haven't announced anything yet.
Yeah,
so we're waiting to see when they announce and what they announce and what they're going to do.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's such a large platform. It would be cool.
Yeah,
to have them jump on board.
Years we will probably see, all platforms embrace immersive.
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, we're going to stick with black and white TV. Right?
There's the 100th monkey rule, right? Where the story of the 100th monkey, for those who are watching and don't know, is there was some scientists who studied a tribe of chimpanzees that were living by this river and always ate this root that they dug up from the ground. And one chimpanzee was standing by the river and he dropped the root in the water by accident, and he pulled it out and he kind of cleaned it off and he ate it, and it was, I guess, tastier. And so he always did this afterwards, and this kind of caused a huge ruckus in the chimpanzee tribe, and then one other person tried it and then they never went back. And then sure enough, there was enough chimpanzees trying it that there was this huge pull and push in this chimpanzee community, where they were kind of freaking out because this new ground was being broken. And then finally the 100th monkey is the monkey that pushed it over the edge, and then everybody went and did the new thing and started washing their roots from then on. And so I feel like there seems to always be, those first through the door are kind of take all the heat and all the questions and why and where's and how's and all of that. And then at some point, when it becomes normalized in our brains and we realize that it just is what it is and it's here, then we tend to embrace it, and it tends to kind of become the new lexicon. So I think, like with all things, with all patterns in human history, this is the next evolution of music and sound for streaming, film, for television. Eventually TV will be, like, I think, the last adopters. They're kind of very they kind of stick to their formats, and their things seem too longer than everybody else, and we haven't heard anything about what TV is doing. But I believe that TV will also be Atmos eventually too.
They're still smarting from trying 3D TV.
Yeah.
That's cool. What go ahead.
I was just going to say, these are all great ideas, and you never know until you try, right? So some things work and some things don't, but this one, to see everybody get on board with this and move in this direction, is pretty indicative of, there's smarter people than us who believe in this, and people who are far above our pay grade who believe in this, and everybody's marching into this. So
good. I mean, it sounds epic. It's
super exciting. It's very exciting time for audio at this bit right now, because it is a new frontier. The rule book hasn't been written. It's being written now, if there even is one. And it's just a whole new way of creating that is inspiring to creators and artists and producers and content creators.
That's got to be cool for you guys. I mean, audio in general is really having a moment right now. Yeah. Just not counting the hundreds of millions of people, the billions of people that are now getting connected to the internet and consuming sounds from around the world for the first time. But now you're having audio only platforms that are coming up. Podcasts are huge right now. You have Clubhouse. It's not going away. People want that experience, and if you can elevate it to a whole new level, people are going to want to dig into it. And it doesn't take away, right? People still listen to records. There's people that still have tapes. There's people that still have whatever their thing is. So just because we're developing something new and want to consume in this fresh way doesn't take away from the history of music and audio engineering that we've had.
I would say no way does it. Things have been developing for so long, and so many people have done such great work that we all love, and it's not one or the other, for sure.
We believe that this just enhances the experience. It doesn't make anything obsolete. The same way that I still listen to mono mixes of things, like early Beatles, which are incredible with all the bounce downs that they had to do to stick it into the format and make everything speak, and the sound of those records, some old, Creedence Clearwater stuff that's just incredible in mono. And then, the history of recorded music over my lifetime, I was born in 1970, it's stereo. It's all stereo. And I love stereo, and I love that format. And I don't want it to go away. I love all the way stereo sounds. It has a certain sound and a certain impact. It's amazing. And this is just something else. It doesn't need to replace, the same way that we spoke about earlier about these different immersive formats. I feel about all formats. None of them need to go away. They're all wonderful. And it's just how people want to experience their music. These are just more, like we said before, more options. More options is good.
So for the people that are listening to this and they want to learn more and maybe work with you guys and come in and get that first taste, how do they get in touch?
We have a website, studio1la.com, and all our contact information is on there. And we're on social. You're on social, right?
Yeah.
I'm not.
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And then through the website is real easy. There is a contact page, and you can reach out directly to Eric and I, or you can send one to our info@studio1la.com. Any of those places. And we love what we do. We're really blessed and lucky to get to do this, and to and we love sharing it. So we definitely, we invite and look forward to speaking to anybody who's interested and wants to know more.
For sure.
This is awesome. We're going to have to find some way to get you guys. I talk a lot to the AR VR people and get everybody together and have a neat conversation around that in the future.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
And if and when you make it out to Venice Beach, California, please come by.
Yes.
We have
love to.
We'll put a day aside for you. We'd love to play you some stuff.
Oh, that would be awesome, guys. I'm going to definitely take you up on that offer. And all of the contact information, all of the links, they're going to be in the show notes. We'll find some cool links that people can try out in their existing speakers to be able to hear what this sounds like, so they can have their minds blown. Right. And guys, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Oh, Robert, thank you. It's been a blast.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Robert.
Cool, guys. Thank you.